Hey, BassGeek here, and today I'm going to share with you what I picked up on the Tackle Warehouse Black Friday sale. Before we jump in and get started going through the baits, I do want to tell you there's about a third, if not more, of this on back order right now. So when those come in, I'll share those with you. A lot of it is just alternative colors to the baits that are, or that I have right here. Now I do want to give two big shout outs, and the very first shout out I want to give is to Beyond Bounds Fishing. Now he wore a BassGeek hoodie in one of his videos. Make sure you go check him out. Me and him's been corresponding. And actually, brother, I know I haven't hollered at you. If I hollered at you by the time of this video, haven't hollered at you in a little bit, I'm going to give you a big shout here in the next day or two. The other guy, I'm actually wearing his hoodie right now, and that's Bass Bullies TV. Now, he's a guy that I've actually done a collaboration with, him and three other guys. But he's from down in the Knoxville area. Make sure you give him a look up. Check him out. He does a lot of good things and a lot of good information on the Tennessee River lakes. Now, let's go ahead and move on and get started on what I got from Tackle Warehouse for Black Friday. So let's go ahead and jump right in and see what we've actually got here. As always, once you order, I don't remember, X amount of dollars, they send you a Tackle Warehouse shirt. I'll have to say I'm a fan of just the gray shirts, and I like this. Like the little alt logo there, the little detailed logo. Like the back. Good looking shirt as always. Appreciate the freebie, Tackle Warehouse. Alright. So now let's move on to what's actually important. Now guys, it's winter time, and one of the things that I like to try during the winter time, I know most of the time in the winter, you're talking about baits that don't have a lot of action or have a lot of subtle action to them. This bait kind of goes against that grain depending on what you put on it, but the Nico rig fished deep can be a great wintertime bait. Now, it's got a little more action a lot of times, again, depending on the type of bait you put on the end of it, than maybe you would typically try to fish in the cold of winter. But one thing that I picked up, and this is something that I really like. Now, the place where these aren't going to work real well for you is going to be any bait that's Elastec. You're going to want something that you can push into the Elastec, not screwing in things to the Elastec. It can be a tricky deal. So, and what I really want to find is some weights that are even heavier than this for some bigger worms that I'm going to fish. But what I really like about this is I get that solid bottom contact, so you get a little bit of ticking sound as it's coming across, you know, the rock or whatever it is. These are the Voss twisted weights, and I've gone all the way from basically a 1/16. Here's 3/16. Here's a 1/8. And here's the 1/4. And the 1/4, I'd really like to find some of these. So if you guys know of any company that makes these, let's say in the area of 3/8, a half, even all the way up to, you know, 3/4, I'd be really interested. I really like these though. You twist them right up in there. You go ahead and rig your Nico rig up. Eventually, I do plan on doing a how-to video on the Nico rig and some of the things I like to fish for the various seasons of the year. But I'm a huge Nico rig fan. I'll tell you, I'm a bigger Nico rig fan than I am a Ned rig fan. But I like that. I like that it still ticks across the bottom as it's coming across those rocks. You're going to get a little bit of sound. Now, sometimes you're going to want it a little more subtle, and you can go ahead and use that nail weight. I've got the nail weights too, but I got plenty of those and I didn't have to order them. Didn't have a lot of these. So we go ahead and while everything was on sale, or almost everything, I think it was 20% off at least on Tackle Warehouse, I went ahead and picked up a few packs of those. Now, speaking of winter fishing, one of the other things that I wanted to pick up was more, and I know, surprise, surprise, vertical presentation baits. If you guys noticed in the last video, I picked up a bunch of spoons, a bunch of jigging wraps, a bunch of, Lord, I don't even remember. Anyway, just a bunch of stuff that you can present vertically, and this goes right along with that. Now, these are some baits that look really good. I really like these, the way these are painted up, the colors of them. These are jigging spoons, and they're by Blade Runner Tackle. Now, I've got a bunch more of these actually on back order. I think it's 4 or 5 at least. And this is the 1 3/4 ounce spoon in UV shad, which would be a great color, especially even for the smallmouth that I fish for, because, you know, they're really sitting there waiting for those shad, staying under those shad, waiting for them to die and drop to the bottom. This is a little smaller version. This is a 3/4 spoon in UV shad, so the same basic color, just in a little smaller version. Now, you guys know, you've seen some of the pictures that I put up on Instagram and Facebook. By the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram and Facebook, please go out there, look me up. It's BassGeek Fishing on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, if you have any of those. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on Facebook, on my Facebook page. So make sure you go out there and you like my Facebook page for me. I think I'm at like 916. Getting to 1,000 will unlock a few things for me. So please, if you do Facebook, go out there and like that page. I try to put up some stuff on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter that I don't put up, you know, on YouTube, because, you know, YouTube is primarily videos. I know there's some other things, but, you know, I figure you guys really go to Instagram and Facebook to look at pictures more often. And every once in a while I'll put up some short clips on there too. Now, anyway, back to the baits. What I've got here is a Nichols Lures Mojo spoon. Now, this spoon is a 1/2 ounce. It's a smaller spoon, so it's kind of like a smaller style flutter spoon. You know, I just picked up one of these because, you know, flutter spoon, it really does take a long time. Being a smaller spoon, being a 1/2 ounce, I don't know how long it's going to take for this spoon to get to the bottom. I like the setup. I like the compact profile. You know, if the fish are up a little shallower, this might be something I use. But here lately, they seem to be, most of the ones that I'm finding, in that 45-50 foot range. So this might just be something that might work a little better during the summer or later in the winter. But we'll give it a try, see what happens with it. I just wanted to pick one up to give it a shot anyway. Now we're going to get to some of the more exciting baits. I've had several guys ask me to do videos or ask me to do how-tos on these next 2 baits that I'm about to show you. Now, one of them I've got is actually, again, on back order, so we'll talk about it when it comes in. But I've had a couple of guys really want me to do how-tos. Now, I've only really been fishing these baits for about the past 2.5 years. For me, in the deeper waters, you got to remember, guys, man, I'm really fishing these highland reservoirs, these clear reservoirs, very steep banks, and they drop fast. But for me, they seem to shine really in that pre-spawn and post-spawn sort of time. Really the post-spawn time, when those fish get out and they suspend over deep water near shad. This is a really subtle presentation that you can kind of put in their face, count it down and put in their face. A lot of times they'll just reach up and grab it. It's a subtle bite. They're not going to knock the piss out of it. They're just going to reach out there, grab it, and you're just going to wear them in. And I use this primarily for smallmouth fishing. I'm not saying it won't work for largemouth, but a lot of times when I'm using it, to the best of my knowledge, it seems like I really do better for smallmouth than I do for largemouth. So, and that is the spy bait technique. Now, I've got a couple of the Lucky Craft versions, And I'll tell you, honestly, I wasn't really impressed with those. Everyone I've talked to has really spoken highly and said the best out there are the Duo Realis versions. The Spinbait 90, now they say these are baitcaster models. I'm going to throw these on spinning reels because I want to be able to get the longest cast that I can get out of them. And from my understanding, you can throw these on the on a spinner or a bait casting reel. Either one, you know, you're going to need a pretty finessey setup for the bait caster. But I'm going to throw these on a spinning reel because I really want them to get out there when I have light line. So I've got a lot less drag in that line as it falls. That's one thing you got to remember, guys. Your bait, even, I know we talk about line diameter when it comes to crankbaits, but even when you throw these sort of baits out there, you've got to remember when it hits the water and it starts sinking, that line hits pulling that line down too. So the thinner that line is, the faster that bait is going to sink. Anytime you stretch your line across the water, you're going to get line drag. As the line passes through the water, it's going to create a disturbance. It's going to create a force that is pushing against the line, hence line drag, which is going to dictate the speed. Even with a jig, for example, you cast the jig out, you're not flipping it, you cast that jig out there, the thinner line is going to really control a lot about how that jig falls. So I guess there's your tip for the day. Anyway, so these two colors, very much the same. The first one is the Realis Spinbait. It is the Ghost Minnow. Now it says on here that these are best used 6 to 12 pound test. A good starting point for me, 8 pound test. That's sort of a good medium. If I'm going to fish it deep, I'm going with that 6. And I will tell you, this winter when I fish these, I'm going to fish it on 6 pound test line because I'm really wanting this bait to get down quickly, get down there fast. And you can fish them 4 to 25 feet deep. Considering that I'm going to be over some fish that are going to be in 45 foot of water, yeah, again, going to put that 6 pound test on there. Going to have to really work and be patient to get these baits down. But anyway, this is the Ghost Shad. Alright, so now this is something that I'm really going to be looking at using in the spring and in the fall. Might try to toss these a little bit during the winter time, especially when that jerkbait bite picks up, because you can kind of work these like a jerkbait. Now I've got a ton of hard swim baits, but guys, I'll be honest with you, when I buy the hard swim baits, I tend to buy those, you know, 8s, 9s, and 10s. So I didn't really have any small ones, and that's something that I'm going to work on a little bit this year. Be able to catch maybe some bigger fish, especially smallmouth, with swim baits, whether it be the bull shad or the river to sea S-Waver. So I picked up several of these in the 168 model. I don't know, let's see, I don't think, nope, all of these did come in. So these are all that I ordered. I actually hadn't had any of the 6 or 7 inch, and so this is what I picked up. I picked up several colors. I figured while they were on sale, might as well get them now, and we'd set them back for this spring, and hopefully we can get out and catch some true giant smallmouth this spring on these things. Maybe even this winter on a good warm day when those smallmouth are moving up to feed. So the first one is going to be rainbow trout, and because of a lot of the lakes that I fish actually have rainbow trout, or, you know, trout in them, this is going to be, I think, a really great color for me. Again, these are the 168s. They're 6 3 inches long, and they're a great place to start when you start throwing, you know, glide baits. The S-Wavers are really more inexpensive than most of your glide baits, and guys, in my opinion, they're one of the best on the market, especially bang for the buck. You can't beat the 168. The next bait, gotta have bone, guys. bone, 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 bone. You know what I'm saying? So this is the bone color. Again, all these are 1/68. This color is the Warden, and it's kind of a sexy shad. Kind of a sexy shad color. These are slow sink, by the way. Slow sink swim baits. Again, fishing a lot of clear water, so I want something a little translucent. This is the Crystal Shad. And last but not least, again, another play on the trout color is the light trout color. I think this will be real good when there's a little bit of chop, or the water's a little dirtier, or, you know, there's some low skies, a lot of cloud cover. I think this right here will be a great color. And especially, you know, it's got a little bit of that yellow in there, maybe, you know, borderline chartreuse. Again, really going to target smallmouth with these during the spring. So, you know, I really want to cater to that. Now, something that, you know, I use a lot, but I don't really use this version of this particular bait a lot. You know, I've used it, I've caught fish on it, but I really wanted to dive more into it because this bait really combines two of my favorite baits, at least for me, in the way I fish it. Now, there might be times when I fish other trailers on it, but for the most part, there's probably going to be a swim bait on it 90% of the time. And that's a swim jig. So what I wanted to do was buy me a few different sizes so that we can cover all the depth ranges, even this winter. And, you know, again, you know how I am when it comes to colors. I keep colors pretty basic. And in the swim jigs, I really keep it basic. You know, there's going to be times when you're going to be mimicking, say, crawls. The one thing, and again, there's a bunch of these on back order, like the black and blues. I think pretty much all of them are on back order. Now, when I'm fishing those, of course, you know, I'm going to be fishing dirtier water. And so, you know, that darker color is going to come in handy. But for the most part, when I'm fishing a swim jig, I'm going to be probably mimicking one of two things: shad or bluegill. 90% of the time, that's what I'm going to be mimicking: shad or bluegill, because I'm going to be swimming this bait. Now, like I said, I started with a couple different sizes. These are all the same brands. These are all by Dirty Jigs, and these are all one of 3 different types of jigs they put out. These are the finesse jigs. Now, these are the small ones. You're going to see me throw these around docks a lot of time. You're going to see me throw these up shallow in the spring when the fish are coming up shallow. And again, you're going to see me put, well, guys, I've got a whole jig playlist that talks about what trailers I like to use, why I like to use them, and what colors that I pick. And I'll put that up here in the atmosphere somewhere, wherever it is, for you to go check and watch out. This is, however, the 1/4, and it's the new Sexy Shad. Again, Sexy Shad. This is also the Dirty Jigs Finesse Swim Jig. This is in 5/16, and surprise, it's in the color bluegill. This is also new Sexy Shad in the 5/16. This is the 5/16 in Gizzard Shad. And this is also, this is a 1/4 in Gizzard Shad. So all those are, of course, the finesse swim jigs. Then we move up to just the swim jig by Dirty Jigs. This color is, of course, the bluegill in 1/2 ounce. You'll notice I stay at about the 5/16 to 1/4 in the finesse. We'll do the 3/8 and 1/2 in the swim jig. This is another bluegill, and it's in the 3/8 instead of the 1/2. This swim jig is the Ghost Sexy Shad in the 1/2 ounce. Now here we have a 3/8 in Tennessee Shad. Here is the 1/2 ounce in Tennessee Shad. And last but not least is the Ghost in 3/8 ounce Ghost Sexy Shad. So, you know, I like that real translucent bit of color in there. And, you know, we'll throw some 3.3, 3.8 style Recon Shad, the rib swim baits on those, and throw them out there and just slow reel them in on the bottom. Now, these are the bigger ones, and these I actually plan on using during the winter time. So right now, when maybe they're not looking at the Damiki, maybe we can back off and throw these jigs out there, sink them to the bottom, and just really slow reel these in with a little bigger trailer on them. So this one, and you'll notice these are all 3/4 ounce. So these are all definitely heavier jigs. And, you know, picked up 4 of them. This is the 3/4 ounce. This is the California Swim Jig by Dirty Jig. And this is the Tennessee Shad. You guys know I love the Tennessee Shad color in crankbaits. This is also a 3/4 ounce, and it is the new Sexy Shad. Like that color. Here's a 3/4 ounce in, again, surprise, surprise, bluegill. And last but not least, here's your Ghost Sexy Shad in 3/4 ounce. And again, guys, you'll see I keep color simple. Guys, keep it simple. You can deviate as you go, pick up a color here, a color there, or change this or change that. But when you're first testing something, you know, like these, you know, these are jigs that I'm just going to try by Dirty Jigs. I haven't used their swim baits or their swim jigs a lot. So I'm going to keep their colors pretty simple. And that's where you start. Don't be overwhelmed by all the colors. Keep the colors to, you know, a 3 to 5 color minimum based on what you want to be mimicking out there. And the watercolor that you're fishing. That, a lot of times, that's what I do. You know, I know I'm going to be fishing these a lot of times in some fairly clear water. And when I'm not fishing them in clear water, of course, I've got the darker colors, the black and blue, the blacks on their way. But a lot of times I'm going to be fishing these in stained to clear water, and when I fish those in that, I'm going to want something that's going to look very natural, hence the color selection that I have. Hey, sorry I didn't get a video out last Sunday. I know I told you guys I'm going to start trying to get a video out every Sunday. Now, the Sunday videos are going to be a little different than what we do on Wednesdays. Wednesdays are going to be the hardcore, you know, fishing stuff. Even if it's an unboxing like this, we're going to talk about it. Now, the Sunday videos are going to be geared a little more toward the beginner stuff, a little more toward, you know, as we get a little more toward spring, we're going to do a little more pond fishing, a little more bank fishing to help those guys out. You know, not everybody has a bass boat or a boat, period. Even if it's a kayak, not everybody has the electronics. But trust me, guys, that ain't going to change for me. I love that stuff. That's how I like to fish. I just want to show these guys and help these guys show how we progress. You know, one of the things that we're going to definitely do is on the Sunday Fun Day videos, especially over the next few months, probably starting sometime around March, I'm going to have you guys actually comment on products you want to see me review. And so what we'll do is we'll get those products in and we'll do reviews. On the Sunday stuff, there's going to be a lot of giveaways too. So I've been working with one of the box companies for you beginners out there too, and we may do those on Monday. And if it all works out, what we'll do is we'll give that box away every week. Another thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a once a month Q&A. So we'll call it 6 Minute Sunday or something to that effect, if that's not already took or thought of, whatever. We'll call it a 6 Minute Sunday. So what I'm going to do there is I'm actually going to pick one of your questions. We'll do a 6-minute breakdown of what you ask. And if I pick your question, you get a free BassGeek t-shirt. All right. Tell me what you think about those ideas down below. We might even work on some stuff where we do some lake breakdown and we see if BassGeek is a winner or loser in breaking your lake breakdown. I don't know. Anyway, we might do some lake map breakdowns for you guys, and let's see what we can do that way. See if we can put you on some fish any time of season. And again, if we do that, we'll do something like where if we pick your lake or your submission, we'll send you a free shirt. Maybe that's sort of in the works. Don't know if I'm going to do that, but we're definitely going to think about it. Again, big shout out to Bass Bullies TV, guys. Make sure you go check him out, and Beyond Bounds. And most of you probably already have checked him out, but he's a cool dude. What up, Lou? Other than that, guys, questions and comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about everything I've told you. Ask me any questions about these baits. Got some more really cool stuff coming up for you, hopefully this year. Tell me what you want to see. Maybe some good ideas that'll help you guys out. You know I'm always going to be a teaching channel. It's just who I am. It's what I do. And I want to help you guys catch fish. Oh, another thing is we're going to do something when you catch fish on something that you've seen me talk about and decided to try. I want you guys to send me some pictures. We'll get all that done later. But man, I love that stuff. I'm going to post it all over my social media and shout you out if you learned it here. The other thing, oh yeah, like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Be sure you ring my bell, and you guys rock.